The morning began like any other at Harrington Global Industries, a billion-dollar empire known for its luxury towers, cutting-edge technology, and ruthless corporate culture. Employees rushed through the marble lobby, afraid of being late. Executives walked past without looking at anyone beneath their rank. Only one person seemed invisible. A man wearing a faded blue cleaner's uniform quietly pushed a mop across the polished floor. His name tag read Daniel Brooks. To everyone in the building, he was just another temporary janitor trying to earn enough money to support his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. What no one knew was that Daniel was hiding the biggest secret in the company. He wasn't just a cleaner. He was the only son and legal heir of Billionaire founder Evelyn Harrington. Years earlier, Daniel had walked away from unimaginable wealth after a bitter disagreement with his mother. Evelyn believed success required absolute discipline and sacrifice. Daniel believed family came first. When his wife died unexpectedly, he chose to raise Lily instead of joining the family empire. For nearly 10 years, they barely spoke. Then everything changed. Evelyn, now battling serious health problems, discovered shocking evidence that corruption had infected the very company she had spent her lifetime building. Financial reports were disappearing. Honest employees were being forced out. Millions of dollars were unaccounted for. She trusted no one, not even her own executive team. Only one person could uncover the truth without attracting attention. Her estranged son. Daniel agreed, but only for one reason. If I do this, he told her, it's not for the money. It's to protect the people who actually work hard here. So he entered the company under a fake identity as a contract cleaner. For weeks, he watched everything. Executives insulted receptionists. Managers screamed at maintenance workers. Security guards were treated like furniture. Every night, Daniel quietly wrote down everything he saw. One person stood out more than anyone else. CEO Richard Kane. Handpicked by the board after Evelyn stepped away from daily operations, Kane ruled through fear. Employees trembled whenever he walked through the hallways. One Monday morning, Daniel noticed an elderly cleaner struggling to carry heavy supplies. Without hesitation, he rushed over. "Let me help you," Daniel smiled. The old man thanked him with watery eyes. Richard Kane happened to walk past. "What is this?" Kane barked loudly. The hallway fell silent. "I hired cleaners to clean, not to waste company time chatting." Daniel remained calm. He needed help. Kane stepped closer. "You're paid to follow orders. Remember your place." Several employees lowered their heads, pretending not to watch. Daniel simply nodded and returned to work. That evening, Kane laughed in a private executive meeting. "People like that cleaner should be grateful we even employ them." No one dared disagree, but someone recorded every word. Daniel. Later that week, another incident shocked him. A young receptionist accidentally spilled coffee on important documents. Before she could apologize, Kane humiliated her in front of dozens of employees. "You're completely useless," he shouted. The woman fought back tears. Again, Daniel quietly stepped forward. "It was an accident." Kane stared at the cleaner with disbelief. "You again," Daniel answered respectfully. "Everyone deserves respect." The CEO's face turned red with anger. "You've got a lot to say for someone pushing a mop." The lobby became so quiet that the sound of the air conditioner echoed through the room. Kane pointed toward the exit. "One more mistake, and you're fired." Daniel looked around at the frightened employees. He realized something heartbreaking. They weren't afraid of losing their jobs. They were afraid of losing their dignity. And he silently promised himself, this company would change, no matter what it cost. The next morning, Daniel arrived before sunrise, pushing his cleaning cart through the empty hallways. While polishing the executive floor, he noticed something unusual. Richard Kane's office door was slightly open. Inside, Kane and Chief Financial Officer Victor Lang were speaking in hushed voices. Daniel quietly continued wiping the glass wall nearby, careful not to attract attention. "Move another 12 million before the audit," Kane whispered. Victor looked nervous. "What if Mrs. Harrington returns?" Kane smirked. "She won't. And even if she does, the board trusts me." Daniel kept his head down, but every word was captured by the tiny recorder hidden in his uniform. The corruption was far worse than he had imagined. Later that afternoon, Lily visited the company after school. She waited quietly in the lobby while Daniel finished his shift. She hugged her father proudly. "My dad works harder than anyone." Several employees smiled. Richard Kane walked out of the elevator just in time to hear her. He laughed sarcastically. "So the janitor brought his daughter to work?" Daniel answered politely. "I'll be leaving in 5 minutes." Kane wasn't finished. "This isn't a daycare." Lily looked down, embarrassed. Daniel gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay." Watching from nearby, many employees felt uncomfortable, but no one dared speak. That evening, Evelyn Harrington secretly called Daniel. "Have you found enough evidence?" "More than enough," Daniel replied. But the employees deserve to see the truth with their own eyes. Evelyn agreed. Then tomorrow, we end this. The following morning, the company gathered for an emergency all-staff meeting in the grand auditorium. Hundreds of employees filled the room. Richard Kane confidently stepped onto the stage. I have an announcement, he declared. We are reducing unnecessary expenses. His eyes landed on Daniel. And we'll begin by terminating one employee who has repeatedly ignored management. Gasps spread through the audience. Kane pointed directly at the cleaner. Daniel Brooks, you're fired. Security, escort him out. The room fell silent. Daniel calmly set down his mop. He smiled. For cleaning the floors. He slowly removed his janitor's badge. Or for cleaning up your corruption. Confused whispers filled the auditorium. Before anyone could react, the main doors opened. Evelyn Harrington walked inside, followed by the company's legal team, government investigators, and members of the board. Every executive stood up in shock. Richard Kane's confident smile disappeared. Evelyn looked directly at him. The man you just fired. She paused. Is my son. The entire auditorium froze. Employees stared at Daniel in complete disbelief. The humble cleaner they had worked beside for weeks was the true heir to Harrington Global Industries. The silence inside the auditorium was overwhelming. No one moved. No one even breathed. Richard Kane stared at Daniel, hoping it was some kind of joke. But when he looked around, every board member had already stood to welcome Daniel with respect. His face turned pale. You're the heir. Kane whispered. Daniel looked at him calmly. I never wanted the title. I wanted the truth. Evelyn Harrington stepped onto the stage beside her son. For weeks, Daniel worked in this company as a cleaner. He saw everything without anyone knowing who he really was. She nodded toward the large screen behind her. Play the recordings. The lights dimmed. One by one, videos filled the screen. Employees watched Richard Kane insulting receptionists, humiliating cleaners, threatening managers, and secretly discussing the transfer of millions of dollars with Victor Lang. The room erupted in disbelief. Some employees lowered their heads in tears, finally realizing they had not imagined the abuse. Others applauded quietly as the truth came to light. Government investigators stepped forward. Richard Kane, one investigator announced, you are under investigation for fraud, embezzlement, abuse of authority, and destruction of corporate records. Security officers who had once obeyed Kane now stood beside the investigators. Kane desperately pointed at Daniel. This is a setup. Daniel shook his head. No, this is accountability. Victor Lang tried to slip out through a side door, but investigators stopped him before he reached the exit. Within minutes, both executives were escorted from the building. For the first time in years, the employees felt free. Evelyn turned toward the crowd. I owe every one of you an apology. While I was away, I failed to see what was happening inside my own company. She then looked at Daniel. I built this business. Her voice trembled. But you reminded me why it should exist. Daniel smiled gently. I learned something while pushing that mop. Everyone listened. The people who clean the floors, answer the phones, guard the doors, and serve coffee are not less important than the people sitting in executive offices. A company becomes successful because of all its people, not just those at the top. The auditorium burst into applause. Many employees wiped tears from their eyes. The elderly cleaner Daniel